are now going to talk about the cost analysis of running a rabbit farm. It is important for you as a farmer to understand what will be the cost, operational cost or starting cost of setting up and running a rabbit farm, and what might be the projected or expected profits that you can make from having a rabbit farm of a certain size. So you need to have a perspective of a realistic perspective of what you need or what you can expect to be the profits that you can gain from running a rabbit farm. So the first part I'll talk about is what is the cost of one rabbit from birth up to the point where you slaughter it for meat to the market. When a doe gives birth, we talked about that in the topic on breeding, is that the average number of kits that one doe can produce is about 8 kits. So if one doe has 8 kits and is consuming pellets of 200 grams per day for 1.5 months, that is 45 days, we need to be able to find the cost of pellets by doing this analysis. That means for one day, for the 1.5 months, for that kit, we're doing an analysis for the kit that has been born up to 1.5 months, is going to consume 200 grams divided by 8, ideally, so that should be 25 grams per day. In 45 days, you're going to have 25 grams times 45 days for the period that you are using that ration. So meaning by the time you are winning, one kit will have consumed 1.125 kilograms of pellets. Upon winning, each kit will start feeding on 50 grams per day for the next 1.5 months, up to 3 months where we said we can increase that portion to 100 grams per day. So that means for the next 45 days from winning, is going to consume 50 grams times 45 days, which is 2.25 kilograms of pellets. Next, from 3 months up to, we are going to use the upper limit of 5 months. Usually you can slaughter a rabbit at 4 months. If it's a good breed, you've kept it properly, it can attain the slaughter weight at 4 months. But you're going to use the worst case scenario of 5 months, assuming that some of your rabbits are not going to get the slaughter weight at 4 months. So you're going to use the worst case scenario of the profit that you can make if you slaughter your rabbit at 5 months instead of 4 months. So each rabbit will eat 100 grams per day. So those will be 60 days from 3 months to 5 months by 100 grams per day, so that you're going to get that the rabbit will have eaten 6 kilograms of pellets by that time of slaughter. Remember, like I said, you can slaughter a rabbit at 4 months if it attains the weight at that time. If you slaughter it at 5 months, you can slaughter at 5 months if it happens that you have some rabbits that are not gaining weight quickly. Again, if you slaughter at 5 months and it's a rabbit that gains weight properly, it will have a higher slaughter weight than what I've used in the calculation. So this is our worst case scenario of such kind of an outcome. The next part is that at 5 months, the rabbit will now be ready for slaughter. The total pellets consumed will be 1.125 kilograms plus 2.25 kilograms plus 6 kilograms, meaning you have consumed 9.375. If you round that off, it's 9.4 kgs of pellets. The common cost of pellets is around $0.5 US per kg. So if the total cost of pellets over that period will be 9.4 kilograms times $0.5. So you're going to get the total cost is around $4.69 US. So that is the costs of pellets for a rabbit. We now calculate the cost of water, assuming that if you are bringing up your rabbits in an urban area where you have to buy water, there will be a cost involved. One rabbit will consume about half a liter of water per day. So over 150 days when we have that rabbit before slaughter. So we are going to assume that it's going to take 0.5 liters from birth up to the time of slaughter. That's 150 days for 5 months. So you're going to have 0.5 times 150 days. That makes it 75 liters of water. The cost of water in some urban areas, in most urban areas, especially in Africa, is about 0.01, US per liter. So if you do that, is about for 75 liters times that cost, will give you 0.075 US dollars. It's not a lot of cash. The similar amount of water is usable for cleaning. You need water for cleaning. We mentioned you need water for hygiene, cleaning regularly. So you're going to assume that you're going to spend half a liter of water per day for cleaning. So it makes it the same amount of water as the same as the one that we used for feeding. So the total cost of water will be, you add the two costs and it becomes to about US dollars 0.15 of that. The next cost that you're going to calculate is the cost of hay. And one rabbit approximately takes one bale of hay for its lifetime, from birth up to the slaughter time. So the cost of one bale of hay around most several places, urban areas, is about US dollars 2.4 US dollars. So other operational costs may apply per the labor needs of the farmer. That is, if you are hiring outside or using labor within the homestead. So those will be miscellaneous costs depending on your conditions. But for most people, rabbits is not a labor-intensive enterprise. So you may have the case where you're using your own labor at your own home without having to incur an extra cost from outside. So using the three costs, we are going to say that the total cost of production will be the US dollars 4.69 plus US dollars 0.15 plus US dollars 2.4, bringing the total cost to US dollars 7.24. So that is the total costs of bringing one rabbit from birth up to 5 months of slaughter time. A good rabbit breed will yield on average about 1.5 kilograms of dead weight at 5 months. Again, it might go up a bit depending on the kind of breed that you have, because some breeds will gain weight more than the others. So you might have that figure going to 1.8, 1.9 kgs or even 2 kilograms. If, assuming the farmer sets a competitive low price of about US dollars 6 per kg as the selling price, that means that the selling price for 1.5 kgs of meat will be 1.5 times USD 6, which gives it US dollars 9 as the selling price of one rabbit. So the profit, the gross profit then, is going to be the US dollars 9, which is the selling price, minus the cost of production, which is US dollars 7.24, making the profit to be USD 1.76 per rabbit. So to see it in good perspective, the percentage of the profit is $1.76 divided by $7.24 times 100, which makes it a 24.35% profit per rabbit. So you can play with that profit. Maybe if you want to get more money out of your rabbits, you can increase that profit by the following assumptions. If you realize the slaughter weight at 4 months instead of 5 months, you are going to save 1 month of feeding. So you'll be saving 3 kgs off of the usual pellets that you could have given, which is around USD dollars 3 times 5, 0.5. So you're going to save a lot of money on that, and the percentage profit is going to go to almost 30%. Again, you can also price your things appropriately, your meat appropriately. So what you do, you can add value to your meat and sell at a higher price. If you cook the meat, you're going to sell at almost double the price that you could have sold the meat if it was raw. You can also do another thing to increase your profit. You can account for other streams of income from the rabbitry, such as selling other outputs of rabbit farming, like urine, manure, or breeding stock to other farmers. And then breeding stock usually sells much more, much higher, almost 3 times more than you could have sold on the meat, which can boost your income levels, considering that you do not always have to sell meat. The fourth thing and final thing you can do to increase your profit is substitute half the pellets if you have grains that are reliably available in your farm. So the cost of pellets will go down by half. Remember, you said the cost of pellets is 4.69 USD. So that will go down to 2.69. So you're going to increase your profit by almost half when you consider and you factor in the part of substituting pellets for the greens. The commercial pellets are the biggest costs in rabbit farming. So if you have a way of growing vegetables and greens in your farm, a reliably big farm, you can substitute the feeding of the pellets by half, by including a handful of greens, wilted greens, remember, wilted greens per day to the same rabbit, so that you can save half the cost on pellets. Now, based on those figures of the expected profits per rabbit and the expected costs of producing one rabbit, you can be able to estimate the expected cost of production versus profit for the number of rabbits that you want to keep, so that you go down to the business knowing that you have within your budget of the kind of money that you have at hand at the moment. So the next thing that we'll talk about is the startup costs. That's the operational. What we talked about in the analysis of the rabbit is the operational cost. We now have what we call the startup cost, because you need to start by constructing cages. You need to start by loading the cages with rabbits. And you are going to limit the cost to a 1 cage calculation, assuming that you'll be able to figure, because the requirements for fencing, for example, externally or a house, some people will not do the fencing, so that cost is not a standard cost for every farmer. So the standard cost for every farmer is a cage construction, and then you also need to put accessories for that cage, and then you need to load a rabbit into that cage. So I'll repeat, what you need for is a cage that has two clay pots, one for drinking water and one for feeding pellets, and then you need a rabbit inside there. So those are the 4 items that you need to start a rabbit cage. The average cost of constructing one cage is about US $15 to $20. That is if you are buying everything. You are not sourcing any materials from your farm. This cost may go down depending on whether you have some locally available materials in your farm. For example, you may have some pieces of wood from a different construction lying around in the farm. You may have some iron sheets lying around in your farm, wire meshes. You are going to recycle those. They are okay to recycle. So if you recycle the items, your cost may go significantly lower. If you have some trees and you're allowed to cut down for timber, again, the highest cost of cage construction will be timber. So that cost will also go significantly down. If you choose to go the way of constructing metallic cages, that cost may double. The cost for one cage may double depending on how you're going to source for that labor. We also have an option of buying readily available metallic cages, especially if you can import. We have some you can go check online, especially if you're going to start a commercial farm. You can import in bulk, and it becomes significantly cheaper for you, and you just load them into your externally constructed house. So you can consider the costing of your own cages. It's not a standard cost. It will depend on how you are sourcing your items, or the convenience of, for example, importing. Although the imported cages are usually very narrow and very small for meaningful, loading of rabbits inside, I would not advise that you take the narrowest cages. Make sure they fit within the dimensions or the measurements that we mentioned earlier. The next cost of the cage is the accessories. The clay pots cost about US $1.5. We sell those even at our farm at that price. And 2 of them, so that makes the cost to be US $3. The last cost for the cage is loading a rabbit. If you buy a winner rabbit, which is advisable so that you start small, you learn with the rabbit from being a young rabbit, how to feed it through the different stages, age groups, how to breed it, and how to finally see it give birth. So if you start with a winner rabbit, at our farm we sell it at around US $7.5, which is usually the most farmers will sell at around the same price. So you can consider that to be the price for one rabbit. The total estimated costs of constructing one cage is $30.5 US, based on the $20 for the cage, $3 for the 2 clay pots, and $7.5 for the rabbit that you're going to load at a winner stage. You can maybe add the cost of hiring a constructing expert to do the construction for you, and then you can find the total costs, what it will be. So it's a variable cost depending on the issues we have mentioned. So it's upon you to find how you can bring that cost down without compromising on quality of the cages that you set up. It is allowed to recycle, you are allowed to use the materials that are already available in your farm to bring the cost to maximize on your profits. So